Hey everybody, welcome to our weekly Ecosystem Office Hours call. I am your host Jinx, and we are joined as always by the best and brightest in the Pocket ecosystem. We're going to switch things up just a little bit this morning because Saeed's on a tight timeline, so let's kick things off with our PGAT updates.
Hey, thank you. So we've closed applications and we're in the selection process. So I'm sending out interviews. So watch your inboxes. And yeah, we should be kicking off the program early February. So that's it on my end.
Hell yeah, I'm super excited about that. It's really great to see like what other people, developer groups especially, think about the future of Pocket and building new products on top of it. I've heard a ton of excitement around that. All right, let's jump over to Art for the protocol updates since Fred is not with us today.
So I'll do Grove updates in general. All right, so for Shannon, for the protocol upgrade, we're working on load testing milestones right now to get through scalability bottlenecks. We found a few that we are working through right now as a team. We are working on refining tokenomics, and we're prepping for onboarding more external parties to the beta testnet. And we are also working through migration designs and migration design docs. So there's engineering migration, there's legal migration, there's operational migration. We also have meetings scheduled with lawyers next week to begin having these conversations more formally and getting their opinion. Obviously, a lot of this also depends on what may come from the inauguration of President-elect Trump on Monday, given he has signaled that Made in America cryptocurrency may have some benefits for the ecosystem. So we are in a unique position where we're launching something new, and we may be able to leverage this. So we'll see what comes starting next week. So that's the protocol update for Path. So we moved from MVP stage to V1. We have new end-to-end tests, huge metrics PR that's come through, and a bunch of onboarding upgrades. We've been working closely with Liquify and ChainStack, more so with Liquify. They've been giving us a bunch of feedback. We've been put basically in real time, making changes and updating the repository with those changes so that they can begin sending traffic. We've also begun mirroring traffic across multiple regions, not just in one region, which we were doing in the past. And again, continuous updates to docs. Other updates. So we are looking to, starting with F chains. So we have, I can't recall how many chains right now we have. I think we have 58 chains on the network right now. Of those 58 chains, sorry, not 58, 50 chains on the network. Of those 50 chains, 16 will no longer be subsidized by PNF or by the cash subsidies. Starting on February 1st, that'll be 3 months because they are well adopted. Well adopted here is defined as having at least 7 unique domain operators and having at least 1,000 staked nodes. Obviously, those are sliding scale targets and they may move in either direction, but this is a good enough margin in our end to stop funding those, to have those chains stop being funded. And what this does is this allows new chains to be onboarded by moving that capital from 16 existing chains to launch at least 9 new chains. Those 9 new chains are going to be Sonic, which is a spiritual successor to Phantom, Tron, Stonium, which is Sony's Optimism L2 superchain, Linea, which is Infura's L2, Barachain Inc., which is Kraken's L2, Mantle, and Say. And then on top of that, we will be launching the Ripple's XRPL EVM sidechain. We cannot formally say we are the sole provider, but we are the first provider of RPC to them. We are working very closely with their onboard with their engineering team, which is outsourced to a company called Peersis, I think. They're the ones that are building the EVM. We are running 2 validators for them already. And now we will also be working to run RPC access for the XRPL EVM sidechain. We will be running it all the way from DevNet through testnet to mainnet. They are currently in DevNet. Traffic isn't really flowing yet. We don't know what the expected traffic load will be, but again, we're taking the very long tail view here because this is Ripple we're talking about. On top of that, I would say the two more updates. One is on Grove's portal side, we have updated our how we load balance traffic. We changed from using one specific paradigm in Google that was out of date to a brand new one. Hat tip to our engineer Everett doing this over the last week. So performance in general should be increased and improved. And the last thing is, I think I mentioned a couple of places. We've redone our website to be more aspirational. It shows where we're going. It's the stuff that Mike and I and Olshansky have been talking about at various conferences and events, that we're trying to grow the addressable market beyond just blockchains to go to other open source systems or open source protocols. And then Grove's website is basically positioned to show that proactively. And then as we keep adding new protocols or onboarding them, we will keep turning that on and saying that stuff is available on our end. Lastly, we've also more easily surfaced our roadmaps. We keep getting questions in various channels about what's the status of Shannon, what's the status of Path. We have multi-year roadmaps that are vendored through GitHub projects that you can look into. You can look at the entire history of Shannon's development, all 3 iterations of it from 3 years ago all the way to where we are now, and see the status and who's working on it. We are very open here. Same thing with Path from when we started and where we're at today. So there should no longer be questions. And if there are, just go to grove.city/roadmap and you'll be able to find everything you need. That is the update from Grove.
I think you're allowed a mic drop after all that.
I'll take it. But yeah, we're fucking killing it. So anyone complaining at this point, just listen. You just point them to this video or just we'll have them DM me. I will say this, and I said it down there. We are not narrative chasing. We fit into a bunch of different narratives. We underpin just about everything because of what we're trying to do here. So we're not a meme coin. We're not a shit coin. We're not a narrative of the month or flavor of the month. These things take time to build. I will let you know that Olshansky has received multiple comments on the exemplary status of our engineering team and how many think that the team at Pocket is second to none when it comes to actually building the tech. Obviously, that's tech. That's not marketing. Tech is one thing, but when you go out and market, you don't want to market a shitty project. And we are at a stage now where I think, Mike, I'm not sure if I'm going to be stealing your thunder or not, but I know there's some marketing updates, I believe. So I will pass it on to you. But we're in a really good place, and we're just going to be in a really good place moving forward.
Taraba asks, what is the status of Shannon audit and security testing? In December, it was postponed till end of January, and now it was delayed till end of February again. Please clarify the current status and rationale.
Current status is what you just said. I will put that you can ask Olshansky directly in one of the many channels in the PNF Discord.
Word. And great news all around. Glad to hear it. Mike, I'm going to hand it over to you for foundation updates.
Cool. Thanks for the amazing update, Arthur. Really happy to hear that the program for the new chains worked out so well. Yeah, I have a few updates from the foundation side. I'm going to take over some of Gabby's updates since she wasn't able to make it today. If you're participating in the incentivized testnet, please, I have a reminder for everyone to please submit the quests and let Gabby know if there are any blockers to submitting those quests. On the marketing side, Arthur alluded to it. We've hired what I believe is a world-class marketing agency. They'll be working with us on content, meaning expect many more blogs from us, on socials, as well as PR. This is an initial foray for 3 months. They came incredibly highly recommended, and we did a test run with them, with Saeed and the grants program that we have going on, and they crushed it and absolutely just knocked it out of the park. So we are going to expand our work with them to more broadly support the foundation's efforts, particularly with all of the amazing things that Arthur just gave an update on. As well as that, we've got our website and brand refresh update. Expect this to go live next week. As I've talked about in the past, this is a switch from POKT.network to POKT.network. And with that, I think, and I'll release a blog post with the rationale behind the design and what we were trying to go for, but ultimately something much more inclusive and in the form of positioning, really expanding Pocket outside of just the RPC side of things, and working with the marketing agency and the work that Saeed is doing with the grants program. I think it's going to be pretty clear, to Arthur's words, what we're capable of. So I'm extremely excited to bring on board these folks and have our brand refresh next week. I have a couple other things. When it comes to Orca and having POKT on Solana, we have gotten that moving. We're having a call with them tomorrow and really hoping to have a more concrete update and potentially even be live with it by next week. I don't know if Satar, if you're on the call, I do see you on the call. I just want one. I know I told you that I want that I'd get to it. I haven't yet. I sincerely apologize for that. I'm going to reach out to you after the call to see if we can hop on a separate call later this week to walk through things. And I do notice that there was some issue with the submission of the proposal itself. We'll look to figure that out as well. And as well as the node incentive program. Again, I apologize, but I'm just kicking that can down the road for one more week before giving a solid update on that side of things. But that is everything that I had from the foundation side, unless Saeed, unless I'm missing anything there.
You covered it all.
Sorry, y'all. I was actually just called, which never happens on my phone. Okay. So questions from the den by various users. Marketing roadmap, new website next week, Woot. And of course, people talked about, or Art also talked about the roadmap on their side. Mike, is there any plan with the marketing agency to develop a public roadmap? I'm not sure if that's anything that we would have.
Yeah, we don't have a public roadmap, but we have an incredibly robust content roadmap already. And really, we're just starting to get things going, really understand where our voice is, particularly with the brand refresh and the new website. If there is something that would help you guys, we can talk with them to figure something out there. But generally, I would just expect a ton more content from us, whether that be through socials or blogs, and eventually PR as well.
And the next point was concern about missing market conditions, not writing AI bullwave. I think that, Art has spoken to this, and the rest of us have spoken to this somewhat as well. This is a long-term utility.
Yes.
It's not going to be about, are we chasing a narrative? Are we chasing a meme? Any of the rest of that. The narratives and the memes are going to come in and out of a space that Pocket will forever occupy. So I'm not personally concerned about missing market conditions. If they're short enough that we would miss them in a quarter, then they're not really that important.
Yeah, I would just ultimately add that it really what will really reverse things for us is which what we've said before is the really truly legitimate traffic, particularly breaking outside of RPC, and the narrative and the marketing behind that. We can have just marketing and the product cannot work or could not work, but the fantastic piece here is that we are going to have both, and really having a goal of breaking through the noise over these next 3 months, especially, particularly with the advent of the launch of Shannon as well.
How is hiring going for the marketing role?
Yeah, we're working with the agency. We're still looking to potentially hire someone on the marketing side specifically, but I would just really like to give a shout out to this agency because they are really truly a full house and are really showing us kind of that care that we would expect from a professional agency. But definitely still actively looking on the marketing side of things.
And how is the bot market maker testing going from whatchamacallit, the foundation's selling or market strategy?
Yeah, we, like I said before, we're actively participating in the market. We're really looking to increase our treasury right now and act as a backstop for the token. I'd say overall it's going quite well. Generally, we've been obviously pretty hooked into the market conditions and things after the rate hikes, and we'll see, as Arthur said, how things go these next 100 days. But our goal is really to capitalize the foundation so we can really be a backstop here.
Okay. I don't know that it would actually be relevant here, but comments about Lava's success?
I don't really have too many comments about Lava's success, and if you want to elaborate on what success means, I just looked them up on CoinGecko. Outside of a nice pump on the token, I haven't seen too much. They also had a fundraise, I believe, but I don't know. Fundraise announcements doesn't necessarily equate to success in my mind. And for me, it's really proving out the traction and traffic.
Beautiful. On Lava, no idea, just aggregated comments from the den. Yeah, fair enough. Why is our meme contest on Reddit so awesome? Much wow. I would say that's because of the person running it. Shout out. Taraba asks again, what is the and please, if you are a meming type, make sure you get your meme in because I've been enjoying them personally, and I'm upvoting all of them. So you're all winners in my mind. Taraba asks, what is the name of world-class marketing agency? What makes you so sure that they're the right ones? Sorry to be a party breaker here. Party pooper, we prefer usually. But previous PNF was well known for multiple fiasco events with marketing agencies and marketing experts. Some reasonable criticism there, I would say. Mike?
Yeah, the name of the agency is called Truth Cartel, and they've been behind, I think, some really important turnarounds for other crypto projects, as well. Both leaders of the company being founders and incredibly data driven. Out of every single agency I've ever spoken to, these are actually the first people that are truly data driven and really clear about the metrics and what they can guarantee and cannot guarantee and everything related to that. Really, really excited to be working with these folks.
Yeah, I'd agree. From what I've seen of them so far, they've been pretty impressive. The traffic and traction that was got around PGAT applications was a pretty good indicator of what's to come. What is the status of? Oh, and Mito, I went ahead and replied to you in chat there. What is the status of KOLs on X and other socials? They're non-existent anymore. Are these programs dropped? I think that was pretty well just answered by the Truth Cartel answer. These program marketing push was slotted to begin in January, so that's begun now, and you'll be seeing a lot more coming from them in the weeks to come.
Yes, yeah, this is part of the migration to working fully with them.
Other questions, topics? I see Taraba's typing some more.
I'll say
Shout
a
out to
word
Jerry,
about,
who's tasked with. Sorry, go ahead.
while people are typing there, this is Zatar. I'll just say a word about the proposal to amend the compensation scheme of PIP 38. I tried to put it up for voting today, but there's some kind of glitch with snapshot.org. So I'm going to get that posted ASAP, and Mike and I will connect as soon as he's available. He said this week works for him, so hopefully that will come to fruition. And yeah, as soon as I get the proposal up and posted, I'll do a bit of a presentation on next ecosystem call to go over it, including any changes that might come out of my chat with Michael. Yeah, thanks.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Taraba, that question seems really more directly pointed to Art. So, Art, if you want to check out and chat, you can see
Sure.
that.
Yeah, I saw it. I was just waiting. Yeah. So I live in the DC area, and I have the benefit of having am able to go to events that are more on the political side. And I am having gone to a couple last year. It's opened other doors for Pocket and Grove. It opened up a couple conference slots last year. We were able to go speak at. This one around, I'm attending this with a friend of the company, who used to be one of the head of listings for OKX and OKCoin. And this person also happened to work for the Digital Chamber of Commerce and is extremely well connected. And he's going to be my +1 for this. So it's a massive networking event, just to get just to meet all the right people here and take advantage of where I'm geographically located. I don't know what's going to come out of it. I expect good things. Usually good things come out of all of these events. They just don't manifest within 30 days. Sometimes it takes 3 months, sometimes it takes 9 months. But the idea, it's a complete networking event. That's what I'm doing here.
Beautiful.
Like,
And obviously,
yeah.
anyone who's been in business or who's worked with technology projects for any amount of time can understand the importance of participating in the relevant conventions and networking events. So strong. Will we get more info about how long-term incentives are going to play out, like how compounding is going to be checked, possibility of changing providers without losing benefits, etc.? Yeah, Mike mentioned that in the beginning that he needed to provide, I think, documentation on that. Mike?
Yeah, expect something from me by next week on that for sure.
Beautiful. Mito, how much more does the Dow Treasury need to accumulate 20% of the total coin supply? Will inflation be reduced after Shannon?
I haven't looked at the latest numbers, but I think we're getting pretty close. The idea is to reduce the inflation at that 20% number. Yeah.
Beautiful. And ink token being listed on Pocket. I'm not sure I understand the first part of that sentence. Maybe Kraken can list Pocket day of Shannon drop.
Oh, I get it. No, so we're proactively listing Kraken's L2 via the Ink blockchain.
Okay.
Yeah. No, this isn't like a quid pro quo type of thing. We're doing this because So the thesis here is we should be able to underpin everything in the space. And given that there has been financial budget allocated to be able to spin up more and more support for more and more chains, we've seen, at least on Grove side, this being a net positive. Why have we seen this being a net positive? Is because as we keep listing either newer chains or chains that are not as popular, we are starting to get more traffic from our customers. There is one big customer that we have that I cannot name by name because of the contract that we had signed long ago, but is someone everyone knows. And it's not Infura, but it's in the same vein. And they 10x their traffic on us in the last month because of this. And then when we asked them to see what they wanted listed, they basically listed 7 of the 9 chains that we are going to be listing. And I let them know today that we are going to be doing this, and they want early access to it. Obviously, there's no way to give early access to us. Whenever the chains launch, they launch. But we expect even more traffic to come on these new chains. And this plays towards the thesis that it is very difficult for centralized providers to scale at the level that a decentralized network can scale, because the decentralized network has inherent incentives built in to enable said scaling to happen without additional capital expenditures for hardware. And we're seeing this thesis play out live as we onboard new chains. And the fact that we can onboard 9 new chains in the next 2 to 3 weeks also speaks to how fast we can move. I would say that it's taken us a lot to get here because we needed to get aligned individuals within the foundation and Grove, or basically within the foundation and the labs team, to do this. And since Mike and I are basically leading the party here from like the center of gravity of the ecosystem, we are aligned on the vision, and we were able to figure out a way to get inherent incentives with increased inflation in place, and also figure out how to pay for this at the same time with cash incentives for all of the node runners. And in doing so, we have seen in the last 3 months that this is actually playing out exactly how we had theorized it playing out, which is more companies are willing to send more traffic to us because it is more cost effective for them to do so.
Any other questions about that?
I would just add that everything that we're doing from Path to Shannon to the foundation is just laying down a foundation for us to really see success over these next 3 to 6 to 9 to 12 months for the rest of the year. Usually you don't see much happening. That said, I think relays have been steadily going up. But in reality, like this is all really important infrastructure, and whether that be quality of service or stability of Shannon or kind of the marketing muscle, let's call it, or engine. These are all just really critical things so that we can really break through the noise throughout the rest of this year.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's most exciting to me from an observation perspective is that we talk a lot about things like agentic marketplace and data marketplace. And with the variable RTTMs and shifting to a more compute unit type model, um, I think we're starting to see what an actual mature open data marketplace will look like, where you can get paid at different levels based on the complexity, and where the participants will have the option to, sort of chase those incentives. You can either run consistent long tail infra that you don't have to, spend as much on and earn a predictable base amount along the way, or you can be out there providing the most high end infra for, more demanding data sets. Like all of that is, I think, a good example of what the future of these marketplaces might look like, and in a very dynamic way, all things considered. I see Miss Kitty's typing. Oh, Mito first. Last year in March, if I remember correctly, 2 mil was paid in pocket to market maker, but they were supposed to return that pocket after a year. Has it been returned, or will it be returned after a year? I'm asking if MM might be intentionally suppressing the price to pay less. That's an interesting question. What is the status of that original market maker?
Whatever contracts we had with previous market makers, we ended. We've been continuing to work with the same one, at least when I hopped on. So we clawed back everything at this point that was available. Honestly, I can't recall specifically with the market maker, but I do know that with our current one, it's active and going quite well. They're not. They're definitely not actively suppressing price or anything like that. We actually just had a call with them a couple hours ago, and things are going quite positively there.
Beautiful. Miss Kitty asked, speaking of the agentic marketplace, any collabs in the works with those projects? And Callwise seems to have a few familiar faces. Indeed, it does. I've also seen that. I've personally seen a couple of conversations in place with various agentic marketplace type applications. I'm not sure if anybody, or if those conversations are public yet, but Mike, anything on that horizon you want to talk about?
I would actually punt that over to Arthur.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing yet at the moment. Outside of what we've said publicly, there's nothing yet that I can talk about.
Perfect. And Tim asked, Art seems incredibly eager to have a Shannon lunch party. Should I book a DJ or what? Yes, of course. And it will have to happen here in Tampa Bay, the birthplace of Pocket. So I'm just using my executive function to say yes to that.
Most likely Jinx will be hosting, as I think he helped host the big one a few years back, right around the time I joined.
Yeah,
So,
I threw the Pocket host party, which was a good time by all.
Yeah, so I would leave it to Jinx to host it.
Jinx, I know you have a lot of talents. Can you DJ as well?
I can start practicing now. How's that? You have your Pocket DJ. Oh, Vermont. Hey, Vermont, you are now officially the Pocket DJ. Let us know your availability. Can we expect the launch of Shannon in April or at the latest in May?
I assume so. I think the issue here, and I talked to Olshansky about this for many months now, is the migration piece. So as I said before, like there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen with migrating tokens. So there's the legal issue of where is this token being launched out of? Is it being launched out of the US or the Caymans or the British Virgin Islands? The intention is to not dilute, so it'll be 1-to-1. So the question there becomes, how does this actually work in practice? This is most likely going to be a claim? How long is the claim going to be open for? It's probably going to be open forever. That requires pocket nodes to still be running. Yeah, is the foundation going to continue running these forever? How do we take snapshots that are for multi-chain tokens? Because keep in mind, we have a ERC20 token with Wrap Pocket, and we have a XERC20 token that is across many other chains. So how do we snapshot that properly? The migration of stake tokens, like that's being built into Shannon to enable that. There's also the front end that we need to quickly stand up to enable this. There's a lot of the mixture of engineering and legal and operational pieces that need to happen. And that's what we're actively going through right now. I was actually leaving feedback on one of the 4 very large documents on what needs to happen. I was just doing that this morning. And then, like as I said, we have a long call with one of our legal teams at the end of next week to start asking these questions and getting their input. And I think we actually have a legal call later today as well for a different set of questions in the same vein. So we will have an answer in sometime soon, but it's not going to be, if it's delayed for any reason, which I'm not saying it's going to be, it will be for migration reasons, not for actual engineering reasons. So I'm hoping for the end of this quarter or the very beginning of next quarter. That's where we have set the puck many months ago, and there's nothing saying right now that it's going to move from there.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Taraba asks, is there a particular reason why PNF is actively selling pocket coins on exchanges near all-time low prices while there are still available cash in hand and stable reserves? I would suggest that doesn't seem to take into account any of the available financial updates over the last 4 months. I do see that Mike has dropped the link to that in there. So yeah, that question just seems a little uninformed, to be perfectly honest. Mito asks, if you raise the price to at least 30 cents, I'll throw a party for all
One
of
sec.
your modest. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
if I could address, for example, the last drop that we had from, what was it, 5 or 6 cents, we did not sell down to any of that, right? So we are not impacting things on the downside here. We are only selling when the market allows it, and in very it's called intentional amounts, right? So we are absolutely not impacting things on that side of on that side of the table.
Good. Perfect. Thank you. A very definitive answer to that question. Miss Kitty asks, Art, a claim, does that mean the Shannon conversion will be a taxable event for token holders? This is an important question. We've been chewing on this one quite a bit. I assume that the legal meetings ahead are part of getting that question answered.
Yeah, so what you need to understand is we have that Pocket currently is written in one cryptographic scheme. So your wallet addresses and the transaction addresses, consensus addresses, all use a specific set of schemes, and Shannon is rebuilt from scratch using other schemes. So there's no really easy way to marry them. So I don't want to sit here and throw out ideas on how it could work, because I don't want to plant ideas that could be very well wrong or not what we end up doing. But we are not the first project to do something where key schemes have changed. So we are looking to see what other projects have done, and we are looking to speak to the legal teams that we have, because we have access to 2, and both have dedicated crypto specialists on board who work with a bunch of teams in the space to understand what is the best way to do this so there is the minimal tax impact for affected investors. As a bag holder myself, I would like to not have this be a taxable event if it's 1-for-1.
Yeah, I would just add to that. There's only so much we can do. It's really dependent on the jurisdiction in which you live and the tax laws that, which given here in the U.S., for example, there's nothing super clear yet. So
Yeah, we, especially some of us who are long, big farm stakers, those kinds of questions are super important. Oh, and I guess for all the node runners themselves too, individually. Ugh. Well, we'll be looking forward to hearing the updates on that. Other questions, topics? Is Pocket Team in contact with Sequoia Virtual's project? They mentioned Pocket on X.
Funny enough, right, we have Andrew Kang and Mark Weinstein as investors through Mechanism Capital. That's their firm. And about 2 months ago or 3 months ago, we had an exchange, and they offered to introduce us to about a dozen teams. Virtuals was one of them. I have punted that to Gabby, and I'm not sure where that is right now. I know she's has a lot of different strings she's working on right now. But they have offered to make intros or inroads to PNF on behalf of them being investors in all these various projects. So yeah, there is a way for us to have an inroad. I'm just not sure where it's at today.
And other questions. Also, that's awesome that the introductions are getting made. And by the way, Trava, great to see you showing up and participating in the conversation. That's exactly what these calls are for. So nice questions or otherwise, they are all welcome here. Vermont said it would be a shame if someone from Pocket Team didn't continue communication with them. Oh, I assure you, communication is ongoing. Gabby is a beast when it comes to this kind of thing and keeping stuff together. She's extraordinarily operational. I see Breezy typing in chat. And shout out to Jerry, who has to deal with all these long blank spots in the recordings. Will Grove try to hire an additional senior protocol developer for quicker deliveries of post-Shannon new features and performance improvements?
Not against hiring. We're just trying to keep things lean and efficient. It's been a crazy couple of years with hirings and layoffs, and we will see. Right now, we're moving at a good pace. Obviously, as one of the people running the ship, I want things to move faster. But you have to understand, hiring, there's a tax to that. You have to distract people to actually hire them. Then you have to onboard them. By the time they start working, it's a couple months out from when you started the process. Now is the wrong time to do that, because given that we have timelines that we want to make. But yes, eventually we will be in a position we want to hire. There's a couple roles that I'm definitely interested in hiring. Expanding the core protocol team is one of them, but again, at the same time, we are looking to have external contributions come in that are funded by the foundation, so we don't have to take the burden of having to hire new heads full time, unless exceptional people come through the door. And as you are aware, in the past we've had multiple exceptional people come through and give wonderful contributions. So we hope to see more of that happening later on in the year as we reach mainnet.
Beautiful. Tim says it takes roughly 9 months for an employee to be functioning at full clip. Factor in recruiting costs, salary, benefits. It's not a cheap process. Yeah, given your experience in the talent management space, I would certainly trust your opinion on that. I know that when hiring new developers myself, there is always a fairly long spin up process until they're very comfortable in the stack. Can you confirm if PNF has considered allocating a percentage of the entire coin supply from the recently fast-growing DAO budget to secure a listing deal with Binance or Coinbase for Pocket? Otherwise, there seems to be no chance that any tier 1 exchange will list a random rank 850 coin like Pocket, even with Shannon.
Yes, definitely considering it. Had those conversations, and while Coinbase doesn't require that, some others do.
Why are these calls always positive, but the den not so much? Should we have Jinx host a live call 24/7 instead? Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, the den has always been my little cave full of misfits. We have a broad blend of folks there, some of whom are degens, some of whom are long-term seasoned investors, many of whom are technically minded and participants in the Pocket ecosystem itself. But it's also the place where people just roll through and talk shit. So there's a blend of all of it. I would say if for anybody who has been in the crypto space for a long time, Jinx is Batman and the Den is Arkham. Yeah, that's there. There probably is some of that. I think if oh god, I can't even remember the name of it now. The den of or the hive of treachery, whatever the hell it was called in the original Star Wars movie, where Luke and Leia meet Han Solo. That is the den. It's that bar right there. Maybe there's an Emperor associated individual in there. Maybe there's a bunch of rebel scum. Maybe there's mercenaries and who knows what else. Thank you, Miss Kitty. Yeah, it was completely escaping me in the moment. A wretched hive of scum and villainy. That is the den, 100%. So, are there lots of negatively sounding conversations that occur from time to time? Yes, very much. And I don't mind at all if people feel like venting frustrations in there. That's part of the purpose of having an unofficial group. Mind you, if you just spend all your time complaining, we'll probably boot you eventually because we get tired of hearing it. But aside from that, hey, come hang out, do your thing. Any other questions? During the last call, it was mentioned that a new deal is in the works with Ripple. What is the new contract with Ripple about? Is it related to XRPL in any way? Yeah, that's what Art was talking about earlier. It is specifically related to XRPL, being the provider of RPC services for the XRPL EVM sidechain.
Just to make it abundantly clear, we have many conversations with Ripple, and we are dealing with fairly high up people at this point. The specific, as Jinx said, the specific things that we are allowed to say is that we are validators for XRP, for Ripple's EVM, and we are going to be the first provider for Ripple's EVM traffic, starting with their DevNet, which is currently live, but kind of a little shaky. We're helping with that. We're actually helping them improve their documentation and their entire process as well. We're like really deep with this. There are other conversations that we are having, and we have other proposals out for other things that Ripple is doing. I consider this to be basically the most important set of conversations I have every week. And so I can't go beyond that because just how business is done. But this is as much as I can say, and this is what I will repeat until things change.
So Pocket won't be the only RPC provider as it was initially planned. That is absolutely not what was just said.
Literally never said that. I don't know where that came from. I said we are going to be the first RPC provider. It was never said that we're going to be the only. And again, no company ever has one RPC provider, like ever. This is why the game plan here is to get all the RPC providers to use Pocket, which is why we have multiple providers using us right now.
Yeah, it's very difficult for any organization, or I mean, it would be impossible and not even good planning for any organization to say we are only going to use one vendor forever. Um, the EVM sidechain is certainly the provider that, or Pocket is certainly the provider that that's starting with. What will they do eventually in order to provide additional redundancy? Who knows? Who can say? But Pocket's the one that the ball's rolling with. Can we go ahead and sticky that sound clip in the den? Yeah. We're coming up on the top of the hour, but I want to make sure that we get all questions answered. And I see Tarab is typing, so bring it on. Now, more informal chat, please. Do you think $1 is reachable with all the information you have but cannot express loudly? I I I think it would probably be inappropriate and potentially even actionable for principals of these organizations to be giving their thoughts on uh, potential market pricing. In my opinion, as an unqualified non-financial advisor, I absolutely think that Pocket stands to be able to do significantly better in the market than it's doing now, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, you're not going to get that kind of opinion expressed on a call like this. Breezy says, I think the focus should be being the best one rather than the only one. Yeah, 100%. I agree completely. If you have a vendor that you are working with and you've built a relationship with, and they are consistent and reliable and deliver what you need, then you're less inclined to find a backup vendor or an alternate vendor or a cooperative vendor. I would love to see Pocket in its new form in Shannon being so consistently top performing QoS and completely unstoppable that no one ever feels the need to even have a backup on tap. And I think that that's something we should be targeting. A couple more folks typing in chat still. I got to type faster. How many relays do you expect network will have after serving all open data apps and services? Holy shit, what a big question that is. Mike, do you want to talk about your idea on scaling?
At this point, the scale of data being transferred, it's so large that, and I mean globally, uh, you can't even put it in a number of relays. It's really a number like you need to peg it to the amount of actual data being transferred. I was doing some research on this, and I can tell you in 2019, total global data traffic was around 100 exabytes. And in 2024, uh, uh, it was about 2,400 or 2,500 exabytes, which is some insane, if you want to correlate it, it's some insane number of hours being streamed on like Netflix or something like that. So that's over a 2000% growth in like just global data traffic in 5 years. Where do I think that growth is going in the next 5 years? Oh man, I think that is going to multiply many times over, to be completely honest. Particularly with the advent. I mean, this was mostly pushed by mobile, cloud, and IoT, and I just think with really AI agents not even being integrated deeply in the world yet, that's just going to be an insane amount of data. So I mean, that's and I just I'd be remiss to just not believe that we can't capture some percentage of that global data traffic, right?
I agree on the potential, Tam. I think that's part of what's been the vision. And if we look at these calls, from 2 years ago, we've been talking about what we saw coming from the growth of open data in this space, and everything that we've seen since then is bearing that out. So it's been a long, slow grind as this new world opens up, and obviously we'd all like some things to happen a little faster, but the vision is coming to pass. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, it's about 5.7 trillion hours of HD video streamed in 1 month. Is about 2,500,000 exabytes. So it's kind of the scale that the world is at today, and it's, in my opinion, obviously going parabolic.
Wild. Tim said, "My wife and Bravo reality TV account for 14% of that." All right, we do need to wrap it up as we're getting to the top of the hour, and I know some people have hard stops here. Is Pocket in active communications with Sequoia Virtuals and other AI agents at this moment? Yes, they are. I can confirm that. Vermont said, "I think yes." No, it's absolutely yes. I see some of the conversations that occur just because I'm an introduction point for a lot of folks. Have a great week, folks. Timmy's got to run. Yep, everybody I think has got to wrap up at this point. Thank all of you for coming and participating in these calls. The questions that you ask are important. We really do make these calls available to everyone every week so that there is a constant stream of updates from the foundation and all supporting gateways and other teams in the mix. So thank you very much for being here, and we'll see y'all again next week.
Thank you, Jinx. Bye bye.